I have a special edition of Chat with Elaina St James. That's me. So stay tuned as I reflect on 2024 and I talk about what's coming up next in 2025. And yes, I'm going to be talking collabs and some personal stuff. So stay tuned to Chat with Elaina St James. Hey there, I'm Elaina St James, and you're listening to Chat and Laugh, the Feel Good podcast. These are the stories of entertainers, game changers, and innovators who will inspire you to live your best life. So let's get started and have a little fun. Thanks for sticking around, whether you are watching on YouTube or listening to me on wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. I'm all over the place. First of all, I just wanted to say, hey, thank you for all the fans and followers that I've had over the past 3.5 years. I started my journey in April of 2021, where I started on OnlyFans and Instagram the same month, within the same week. And by the end of April of 2021, I had 10,000 followers on Instagram and, about 60 or 65 subscribers on OnlyFans. I quickly knew, as we do, when we try something new and we have a feeling that something is going to be life-changing and could be really something special, I guess kind of like falling in love, right? But not that I would know anything about that from the last 5 years. We'll get into that. But I knew that it could be something really special. This whole online OnlyFans, and now it includes fans as well, journey that I've been on. And what a crazy journey it's been. So I thought, why not reflect on this last year, 2024, as well as share with you some things that are going to be coming up in 2025, some things that, one thing that'll be releasing in 2025. But we're going to just reflect on last year and things that worked and things that didn't work and things that were fun and things that maybe weren't not as fun. But that's what my fans and followers tell me that they like about me, that I'm real and I'm authentic. And you get to know me here on my podcast or any really of my social media, although some of that is more curated to just be thirst traps. But, here you get to know a lot more about me because I'm talking and not just, being cute and trying to get views. But you get to know me in a different way. Same with if you're subscribing, especially on my OnlyFans, which is my biggest subscription platform. I want to just caveat this to say, and I will say, since being verified on Instagram, I'm not having as many fakes. So, but they're still out there. In fact, I just found out that PayPal has somebody with Elaina St James. It's not me. So don't give money to anyone, anywhere, even if they're saying they're me. There's 2 places that I make money. Well, now actually it's monetized on YouTube, but really the 2 places that I really make money and make my living, well, I sell the book a little bit on Amazon and Audible, but where I make my money is OnlyFans and Fansly. That's really it. So I'm never going to ask you for money, none of that craziness. Okay, so let's talk about 2024. It was my 3rd year of Elaina St James, who, was pretty much born when I realized that that domain was available. Because as you might know, most, if not all, probably all adult performers, as well as OnlyFans creators, have stage names, and I'm no exception. There's some kind of wacky people out there, and we have to be careful. So it's important not to give out personal information. Most people understand that. So it's been quite a journey. 2024 started out kind of normal, my new normal. It started out with a collab. So we're going to talk about collabs first. I'll probably go through the year, so I'll probably intermingle a couple personal things that happened that were pretty milestone-y in a person's life. And my first collab of 2024 was with the adorable Tyler Cruz, who is or was at the time a mere 23 years old. Even I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But he's very much a professional actor who has been in the business for, I think he's been in the business for 3 years as a professional actor. And that's always what I always say, is that I don't work with actors unless they are professional, unless they have credentials of working for studios. That's the most important thing, is the studios, and then a big social media following. There's a lot of business reasons for that, and I go into it on a different podcast that if you want to learn more about that, is what it takes to become a professional adult actor. I talk about that more in there. But anyway, so Tyler was lovely, and I flew him to the Midwest in the middle of winter. But the cool thing is he's from the East Coast, so he was okay with the cold. That was good. And we filmed what is still and probably will continue to be my most major age gap. Though I don't know, as I get older, I don't know, maybe. But 33 years. So I had not acted, had not had a co-star that was that big of an age gap. 33 years is pretty substantial. It's kind of crazy for me, really. So we did 3 scenes. We did one that was non-role play, which my fans really love. My fans really love when there's not the role play necessarily all the time, because then they get more of my genuine reactions, and it's just kind of more natural. And then we did a stepmom, which is kind of almost expected when you're doing something, when you're a older gal like I am, and when you're considered a mom age. I won't use the acronym because that might be risky here, and I want to make this particular podcast available for everyone. And when I'm the one that's talking, I can make it non-explicit. I can do that because I control it. When I have guests on, sometimes I really can't control it, and things can go off the rails. Then I did like a step aunt one. So we did 2 role plays and then one non-role play. I get asked to do a lot of collabs with a lot of people. I am a real life single mom. I don't have any help. And when I mean no help, I mean no help. I have a very different type of life than a lot of these creators and actresses that have a husband or, a significant other that can take up for when they're traveling all the time. I don't have that luxury. I just don't. So, Tyler was great. That was in January. I released those in January and February. Then I had some of my fans ask for more female co-stars, and funny enough, I ran into on Twitter X Christy Canyon. And Christy Canyon, who I've had here on my podcast, so look that up if you want to hear our conversation. If you don't know who Christy Canyon is, she's about my age, and she is an icon in the adult world. Just so many awards. Basically, she started very early in life. Back when I was just doing regular work stuff, she was a adult star in the 80s and the 90s. And I reached out to her. I followed her, and then she started following me. That's kind of how these things start on Twitter and X when we collab. Somebody sees that somebody else is followed, they follow, and then you can message. And that's usually how the collabs start. Anyway, Christy is lovely. And I had so many guys tell me through the years that I reminded them of her. And I told her that. I wrote to her and I said, hey, I just want to say hello. You're beautiful, which kind of is self-serving if you think about it. It's like, hey, everyone says that I look like you and you're beautiful. Jeez. That's kind of odd. But anyway, she reached back and she said, oh my gosh, honey, or whatever she said. She's like, you are too. You want to film together? And I was like, what? We met. I have to be, so it's funny. This is a side note, which I do a lot. But there are some words that you can't say on OnlyFans. And because of that, I stumble over them in places outside of OnlyFans, like meet or meeting. I can't say those things on OnlyFans. So I have to be really careful. So I kind of come off as almost stuttering when I'm just speaking anywhere because it's always like, oh, that's a bad word. Well, it's not a bad word unless you're on OnlyFans. Okay, we met, we talked for a little bit, and then boom, right? Now she's a pro. She's done it all, right? Pretty much. And but I'm not. So and when we were there, it wasn't just her, it was her friend Ginger. And Ginger's like a superstar adult performer from the 80s and 90s as well. I mean, she was just the two of them. It was a lot. I mean, they've got a lot of star power, they've got a lot of personality. They were both wonderful and lovely, but I probably came off as a little bit of a deer in headlights. It was fantastic meeting them. Wonderful women, great women, major star power. And so we did 2 videos. I won't be explicit. And we'll just say that one was more natural and one was with an accessory. Yeah, you can figure that out. Okay. That was in April and May is when I released those. All of these, by the way, are all available on my OnlyFans or on my my Fansly, if you're interested. Then now here's where it got a little personal. I had been thinking of moving out of the Chicago area for a couple years. I had been staying because my mom lived there. And I will say that doing OnlyFans, having this online life can be very, very lonesome. It has been almost 5 years now since I've been in any sort of relationship, since I've even been on a date. I have not been on a date in almost 5 years. Now, no little violins. I have a good life. I have a very fine life, and we make choices, right? And who knows? I could be in the same situation even if I had never started on OnlyFans. But I will, because once you get to a certain age, you're just not as appealing to a vast majority of guys, even in your own age range. I mean, 10 years ago, I started seeing in my 40s that guys on dating apps that were my age, that were in their 40s, were only interested in women that were about 10 years younger than they were. So it's not an easy place to be regardless of what you look like. It's age is age, and that's just the way it is. And the world, that's the way the world works. So often guys want women that are significantly younger than themselves. So anyway, so I've been single for a long time. But what had kept me in the Midwest was my mom. And really kind of, when you can live anywhere, because for work, I can live literally anywhere. Where do you move? I'd been thinking about Florida. But then I have 2 cats and a dog, and every time it seemed like I would be thinking about it, researching different areas of Florida, there would either be a hurricane or, man walks out, an alligator has their dog's head in a, and something horrible was happening to these pets, or, a doggy door and there's an alligator coming in, or all these snakes and stuff. It was just, or hurricanes. It was like, it was always something. And I was just like, good grief. I don't know. That might be too intense. It just might be too intense. So at the time, I had had an acquaintance that lived in North Carolina, and we had come down to check things out about a year ago, actually. And we kind of fell in love with an area, and and I was like, okay, maybe that's a good halfway point, because I knew when I moved, I was going to have to pack up everybody, 2 cats, a dog, a kid, and a life. I'd been at that house for a decade and a half. So I had been at the house in the Midwest for a long time. And really, my kiddo had grown up there. So, but it was not ours. My mom had owned the home and we rented. And so we had cheap rent. That was good. Wasn't a house that I would have chosen, but it was much cheaper than what fair market value would have been. And that really helped me because before doing OnlyFans, I was making like $30,000 a year with no benefits and supporting myself and my son completely on that. It was very much a paycheck to paycheck. It was very rough for many years. So I always say, OnlyFans changed my life, and I'm very, very grateful for it to have given me this opportunity. And another side note, I want to thank all of the fans and the followers. Thank you. Thank you, whether you're new, but maybe especially if you've been with me from the beginning of my journey, say 2021, 2022. Thank you. Thank you for whether it's support on social media, of your kind words and your likes and your views. And especially, obviously, if you've supported me by subscribing and being part of that kind of more intimate look upon my world on Fansly and OnlyFans. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to have this life. Thank you for allowing me to have the ability to possibly retire someday and not be a burden on society or a burden on my kiddo. Thank you for being able to allow me to financially put money aside to take care of my kiddo so that he's hopefully okay and that he has a safety net that he wouldn't have had without it. There's nothing more important to me than that. That's it. Being able to take care of myself so I don't burden him, and me being able to leave something for him so that when I draw my last breath, oh, this is really heavy. I'm sorry. I'll get back to fun stuff. I promise. But then when I draw my last breath, I know that he'll be taken care of, and that he's going to be as okay as possible, that safety net. There's nothing more important to me than that. So I will keep working until I feel like I can't work anymore, or that I feel like there's enough and that there's enough of a safety net for him and for me. So anyway, thank you for your support and seeing this old lady do her thing. It's craziness. Okay, so we decided to move to North Carolina, and we did. So we finished off the school year, and within a week of that, we had, a moving truck packed up my SUV, and drove. Oh my goodness. I mean, I was not looking forward to that drive, but I also knew it was going to be easier than driving down to Florida, So it was going to shave off about 5 hours. So I knew I was going to have an overnight. And I cannot tell you, it's the kiddo is one thing. It's the animals that are, jeez, that was, the cats and the dog was great. She was fantastic. The cats were driving me insane. Oh my God. And I had done all the research about what to do when you're traveling cross country or going someplace with cats. I did all the research. And one of the things they didn't say is, hey, these cats really might not want that. What is it? Gabapentin or whatever it is. It's some like sedative. Well, mine said no. And I had even tested it out before. I tried to give him the liquid. No way. Like a month before. And then like I tried to crush the pill in wet food. Nope. Didn't touch it. Then had to pop it. Oh, it was just a nightmare. And they were like chill for like the first 2 hours. And then they were like, meh, 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 meh. Oh my God. And don't tell me anything about not liking cats. Like I'm a cat and dog person. I'm an animal person, not so much alligators, or snakes. But, you know, I believe when you have a pet, they're yours until they die of natural causes or, like, so don't tell me about, oh yeah, cats, I hate them. No, I love my cats. I love my dog, but they definitely tried my patience because there was a couple times, especially through like the Rocky Mountain. It wasn't the Rocky Mountains, the Blue Ridge Mountains, which again, I'm from the Midwest. I'm from flatlands. I am not used to driving in mountainous areas. And I knew that that was also going to stress me out. And them whining and like pulling their covers off of their little crate in the back and kind of complaining the whole time. There were a couple times I would never have done this, but there were times that I was fantasizing about like, I'm going to pull over this car and they're going to be mountain cats. And I'm going to be like, good luck for you. Now you're out of the car. Aren't you happy? Bye. Oh my God. It was so stressful. My poor kid. I am not a chill person. I just am not, especially in, stressful situations. I will get through it, but not without some anxiety. So we drove and we got down here and won't go into all the details, but the house is lovely. It's lovely, but it's a lot of work to move a household, right? Moving to a new place, it's exciting, but yet you got to find out where everything is. And you have to, in my case, there's all kinds of stuff with like, because I own a business. So there was setting up a business and then it's like you got a kid. So then it's like the schools and all this stuff. We thought the school was going to be great here. It wasn't. It was terrible. Quite honestly, it's one of the highest rated schools in the Charlotte metro area. And it was awful. It was awful. Again, for another time. So he's in a private school, which is much, much better. But, you don't know until you're in a place, right? It was so hot. One of the things that I love, though, is I love exploring. And it has been so much fun to explore Charlotte and beyond. And, quickly we went to one of the places I had always wanted to go, which is the Biltmore Estate in Asheville. I'd heard about it. I had read a book about it and I was fascinated. So we went there. That was cool. And we drove there and stuff. And it's before the hurricane and the horrible, horrible situation that happened in Northwest North Carolina earlier this year because we went in July. But I love just finding out places. So we have just been exploring the area. We went to Raleigh. I met William Shatner this past year. Yes, Captain Kirk from Star Trek. That was really amazing and awesome. I mean, it was like, seconds, right? But it was awesome. And I have a picture with him that's on X and it's on my Instagram, my main Instagram. Went to a sunflower field. We've gone to this quarry and we've gone down to Charlotte many times, seen many things. I try to share that as much as I can, even though some of those reels and things that I do aren't the best viewed. It's still fun to share. There's this really cool botanical garden that we've gone to a couple times called in Belmont called the Daniel Stowe. And they've had for Christmas and then also in the summertime, they had this like light up. But again, you'll see all of those on my YouTube shorts, have some of those as well as Instagram and sometimes Twitter. Twitter isn't really that interested in my travel. But I do have a safe for work Twitter that I have more of those things on. So moving to North Carolina, part of it was because we were close to the airport, closer to a major airport. Charlotte, of course, is the hub of American Airlines. And I thought, well, this will be great for collabs. And I thought, and I know this other creator, and we can like bring, actors in or other people to collab. So we did that. Moving on to another collaboration from 2024 with Will Pounder. Now, Will Pounder, great name, right? Of course. Will Pounder is pure muscle. This guy is pure muscle. He used to look a little bit like Ryan Reynolds, but I think now that he is lean, he's so lean and so muscular, he doesn't look as much like Ryan Reynolds now as he used to when he first got in the industry. But he's well respected. He's done a lot of studio and stuff, and he was such a sweetheart. Really a nice guy. He's somewhere in his mid 30s or something. Video that I did with him, just him and I finally wore thigh-high stockings during the video, which I had fans asking me for. And it's always like, who does this in real life? I don't. That's not comfortable, but I did, so that was a first. And then did my first with another gal and Will. That's a three-way threesome. Second time in 2024 that I probably look like a deer in headlights, because I had never done that in my personal life. To do that professionally, it was kind of like, oh, wow. Well, isn't that something? And I think I know Will even caught me, doing that, because he looked at me and started laughing, and we laughed a lot. And that's really great for me in my personal life and professional. If I can laugh a lot and be silly and have fun while filming, that's the best. Because you know what? Life can be really difficult. And if you find somebody that you can laugh with and that's positive and fun, hey, that is such a bonus. This next collab was with Victoria Winslow. I have actually known her but we had never met in person, but I had known her for years, like probably 3 years. She looks like a younger Helen Mirren, and she's Australian. And I had noticed her years ago, and I thought, wow, she's really got it. She's got the it factor. She's got star power. And so we had been talking more, and she was like, oh, when I'm in the States, she goes back and forth from Australia to the US. And she said we should get together. And I'm like, oh my God, that would be so fun. And it was. So she came to visit me in September. And I got to tell you, it's one of the best several days of my year was having her here. And she rented an Airbnb, and we did a lot of social media content. We didn't do anything adult. We just kept it social media. And that was great for me. I'm sure there's some people that would have liked us to collab in a more adult way, but I was just happy to have a friend that was happy and fun. She's a little bit older than me, but not much. And we had so much fun. I mean, God, it was nice to have a friend, and a friend that was so open to wanting to do things and happy and energetic. It was the best, the best. I just adore her. Victoria Winslow is fantastic. If you don't follow her, you definitely should. And you'll see some of our antics. Oh yeah, we did a sundress bend over test for YouTube. And she was on my podcast last year when I started. She was one of my first guests. We were swinging on swings at this pub, and we're walking around and posing and doing silly stuff. Oh my gosh. When we went out to Charlotte and we were at a couple rooftop bars, we had some martinis and stuff, which kind of came back to haunt both of us the next day when we were supposed to be out making content again for social media. But oh gosh, we had so much fun. And I'm so much hoping that when she gets back to the States in 2025, that we get together again and do more. And who knows, maybe go to a tropical getaway or go on a cruise. There's so many things I would love to do with her because, when you find somebody that gets you and is upbeat, it's just the best. It's just the best. So I miss her. And one of the highlights of my year truly was having her for those few golden days. It's fantastic. Then the next two things happened about the same time. It was just actually in November. I'll talk about the fun one and I'll talk about the one that was a little challenging. I had followed Jason Pierce and I saw that he had recently filmed with Tanya Tate. I know Tanya and I was like, oh, you know what? I should maybe think about this. So I responded and I was like, hey, you want to come to Charlotte? We'll film. And he was like, absolutely, you name a date, right? So quickly we got that set up. I mean, it was very quick and came out and realized when I was talking to him, he was from the Midwest. So Jason Pierce obviously is not his real name. Again, it's funny. He tells me during the non-role play, we did two videos. We did one that was non-role play where it's kind of like, okay, introduce yourself. Who are you? What's your deal? And he talked about how he got his adult acting name. So that was an interesting process. Very nice guy, 26, tall, like 6'2", and I'm about 5'9", 5'9 and a half. And I look pretty small next to him, which was kind of fun as for a change. But yeah, he's only 26. He's got a girlfriend that's in the industry. So very professional, has shot for a lot of different adult companies, studios, as well as doing a lot of his own and with his girlfriend. So it was really cute. It was lovely. So we did one non-role play and then we did one that was role play. That was my girlfriend's mom. So I had been asked by, and I do a lot of polls. I talk to my fans, especially on OnlyFans where they have like polls and things. And I had been asking them like, what kind of role play would you like to see? I know you guys like non-role play. You like to see me like just being me. But what would you like to see when it comes to role play? And I was really kind of surprised and shocked that it wasn't more stepmom. Now I knew that it wasn't going to be as much step aunt because when I did the stepmom and the step aunt with Tyler Cruz, the stepmom way outperformed sales more than the step aunt. So like I probably would not do another step aunt. I've got one. I don't need to have another one. But I was really surprised to hear, and maybe it's just because stepmom is so flooded out there, and maybe that there's just so much out there that guys that are into that are kind of like, okay, what's new? What's different? What's not stepmom? So we did my girlfriend's mom and the scenario, and it's always loose with me because I'm like, I don't want a script. I don't want that. I want it to be more kind of natural, spontaneous. And I know that most of my fans want it too. So even though we're kind of like a role play, it's still spontaneous. And we basically did a thing where, he's coming over and my daughter, which by the way, I do not have a daughter, so it's easy for me to play that and not feel totally weird about it because I don't have a daughter, but that he was coming over to get his stuff. And which is it's kind of what happens. And that we just start talking about how his girlfriend cheated on him and he's kind of heartbroken. I released that in December and it's been doing great. It's been doing great. So clearly, I think the adult industry needs to like do some, thinking about the oversaturation of the stepmom because I think fans are probably hungry for different scenarios. So that was Jason Pierce, and like I said, we did two videos together, and right around that same time, well, I was actually the week before Jason was coming in, I was going to have another guy come in, and he's a very well-known younger male talent, very well-known. And he basically canceled on me the morning he was supposed to be flying out because he had had some plane trouble from some studio shoot and he was exhausted. And so then he canceled. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, but we can redo it next week. And I'm like, no, no, if you cancel on me once, because he could have made it. He was back home in plenty of time and he could have gotten on an airplane and followed through, but he didn't. I was going to do it. This was on like a Tuesday. My mom died on Sunday. She had died 2 days before then. Very unexpected. This goes into more of my personal year. When you move away from a parent that's older and she was in her 80s, I realized that something could happen. But I always thought if it did, because she was so healthy physically, she wasn't on medications, she wasn't battling anything. I always thought like if something happens, I'll go and see her, like like I'll have a chance to like say goodbye. And I would talk to her once or twice a week. And I talked to her the week before and got the call on a Sunday that she had passed from a half sister of mine who, by the way, when all of you think that nothing, like, oh, no problem. You have nothing to lose if you try, if you go on OnlyFans. Yes, you can. You can lose all your family. And that's what happened, except for my mom. So when I got a phone call from one of my half sisters, I was like, I knew something was bad. But I always thought that I'd have a chance to like I would have gotten a plane. Boom, gotten a plane. But I didn't have that chance. She had passed really quickly of a massive stroke. The good thing is that, I had talked to her. We were on good terms and all that kind of stuff. She was actually very supportive of what I was doing. She was very supportive. I remember when I first told her, would she have been as supportive if I wasn't making so much money? No, I doubt it. I don't think she would have been that supportive. But when she saw how much money I was making and how I was able to take care of my son and take care of bills and put money away and be smart about it, she was proud of that. Even though her memory was going and we didn't have real substantial conversations anymore, it was tough. That was tough. So I was going to collab with a guy that was supposed to come in 2 days afterwards, and I would have done it because that's how I live my life, suck it up, do it, get it done. And then he canceled. And then about a week later, Jason came in and that was great. Oh, by the way, another cool thing, two things that I've kind of forgot about is my podcast. What was really cool this past year is I had two of the greatest adult actresses in the biz on my podcast. I mean, how cool is that? I had Reagan Fox and Alexis Fox. Fox and Fox. Yes, weird, but true. But they were wonderful and so cool. So if you haven't heard my podcast with them, make sure you check it out. That was 2024. And let's just talk about what I got planned. I got something in the bank already. I got 2 videos in the bank that I'm going to be debuting in 2025. I'm going to get to those in a second. I have not announced to anybody who that person I filmed with is. But let me tell you, I have a few feelers out there. Right now, I've been asked by my fans to film with somebody older. This particular person I've already filmed with is not older, but I'll tell you about him in a second. But the older thing was real intriguing because I'm like, I'm 57. There's not many adult actors that are even over 50. I mean, I think even Manuel Ferrara, who I've talked to, but I would love to film with him. He ain't coming to North Carolina. I'm going to have to go out to LA if I want to film with him, which complicates things, especially during the school year. But he would be awesome. But I think I don't even know if he's 50 yet. This is the world we live in, like the world that I'm in, where when it comes to male actors, they aren't over 50. Most guys are out of the biz by the time they're in their 40s or 50s. And I understand why. It's not easy to be a male actor, adult actor. It's just not. I've got somebody in mind. We'll see. I will announce it here before it is announced anywhere other than I'll probably have announced it on my OF and Fansly. But Jimmy Michaels. So Jimmy Michaels is very well known. He's got a big following, about 100,000 followers on X, Twitter. He looks as innocent as can be. He actually played an elf on a shelf, and I think that pretty much tells you all you need to know. It's interesting. So we did 2 scenes. I won't say what the second one is. We did a role play, but the first one we did was a non-role play. And he kind of told me and my fans, because when I hire these male adult actors, I hire them so that I have exclusive rights to the videos, so that they're only available. It's basically my own studio. I don't like to collab. I did that once. I probably won't do it again. Jimmy came in, and I will be debuting these 2 scenes in January of 2025, at least one of the scenes, probably both of them. So one's a role play. I won't tell you what that is. But the other one is a non-role play. And so look up Jimmy. He's very, very light hair, he makes me look tan. Let me just put it that way. He's very fair, very much kind of, that Irish fair, blue eyes, very fair skin, kind of strawberry blonde hair. Looks like a younger Anthony Michael Hall back from the Brat Pack kind of days. Very innocent looking. Although the funny thing is I didn't really realize how Southern he was. So he did a lot of Miss Elaina and Yes Ma'am, which I really do like. But he did a lot of that, which was charming. And he was fun and silly, which again, I happen to love. And he was really fun and telling me how he started in the business. And he goes into that, which is a really interesting story. It happened really quick. He was a contract player with Brazzers for about a year. One of the interesting things with him is he does love older women. He loves mature moms. And there was, let's see, how can I gently put this? Well, I was doing what I can only call, and I don't think this is a term, but I'm going to make it a term. I gave him a reverse motorboat. Okay. I'm the one moving. Reverse motorboat. And let me just say that I got some power there. There's some natural God-given power to my reverse motorboat. And it wasn't confirmed by a doctor, but I think I gave him a concussion, quite honestly. I think I knocked him silly. And he was happy about it. During the scene, I think I even said, I'm like, I think I could give you a concussion. He goes, yeah, bring it on. Yeah, I want to be concussed. Something like that. And we were just laughing. And I think I did, because he seemed a little loopy after it. So I think I might be responsible for a little bit of a concussion situation happening with Mr. Jimmy Michaels. So sorry, Jimmy, but I think you enjoyed it. But I'm pretty sure that reverse motorboat could have given him a concussion. Yeah, it was fun. So that was great. What else is next? So, definitely looking at somebody that's closer to my age. I definitely am and have been actually talking to another 50 plus, and she is gorgeous. Another 50 plus creator that's here on the East Coast and beautiful. So we might be doing some social media and maybe some OnlyFans stuff together. I'm definitely more open to that. I really am trying to do more social media collabing, and it's tough. They're all in their 20s and 30s. Sometimes they're in their 40s. They don't want to collab with somebody that's in their 50s. And I get it. I do understand that. So it's not easy to find women that are over 50 that want to do social media collaborations. but there's such a power in it. There's such a power in it because social media platforms really like bringing two creators together. They love it. And they really push those reels and those photos. So, and then of course, you get fresh eyes on you from their followers and vice versa. And it's just a really good thing. I'm looking for more creators that are over the age of 50 that I could do some more, especially social media collabing with. The other thing that's probably going to be happening in 2025, I don't think we're going to move again. I don't see us being in the North Carolina or at least the Charlotte area forever. I don't see that happening. It's definitely not a forever place for me. But the other thing is we're going to be traveling more. And I mean, I think me, as my little tiny family of two, I think we're going to be traveling more, and then you'll see more content from other places. So right now we don't have anything planned outside of the US, though I do have one kind of on my horizon. I'd like to actually film again with one of the guys that I filmed with early on when I started doing that type of content. I'd like to see him and film with him again because he was my favorite. Not to name names, but yeah, that's what's going on. I think there's going to be more traveling. There's going to be more of the same. Probably not going to be doing as much with the podcast. I'll be doing more with try-ons. That's the other thing when I'm reflecting back on 2024. Those of you that are listening to the podcast, definitely check out my YouTube channel because I have had some huge, massively successful try-ons, most notably like a bend over and a groovy string bikini try-on videos on YouTube that have done great. And I think I'm going to be doing more of those try-ons, a sundress bend over test and the groovy bikini. Whew, they did very well. And we all have a limited amount of time, right? So we have to do what makes sense. And I think right now the try-ons make more sense than spending a lot of time on the podcast. But how fun was this? I hope you made it through the whole thing. My 2024 reflections and my looking back on my collaborations that I've had this last year, both on my subscription sites and on my social media, as well as, a couple personal milestones to my life. So thank you for listening. Make sure that you subscribe and like, and nice comments are always appreciated. Here's to much success, health, and happiness to you and your loved ones in 2025. All right. Take care. Thanks for being with me on this journey, and let's have a little fun. Thanks for listening to Chat and Laugh with Elaina St James. Make sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode. For more about me, go to www.elainastjames.com.